In our house, silence spoke louder than love. Every evening we gathered around the dining table like strangers bound by blood instead of warmth. My father always sat at the head, his presence heavy, his voice final. My brother sat close to him, laughing freely, soaking in praise that flowed as naturally as breath. I sat at the far end, close to the wall, close to invisibility. From the time I was old enough to understand words, I understood one thing clearly. I was unwanted. When my brother brought home a report card, my father would smile, pat his shoulder, and talk about his future. "This one will go far," he'd say proudly. When it was my turn, my father barely glanced at the paper. If the marks were high, he accused me of arrogance. If they were low, he shook his head in disappointment. Either way, I failed in his eyes. My mother noticed everything but said nothing. Her silence was not cruelty, it was fear. She had learned long before I did that arguing with my father only created deeper wounds. So she cooked, cleaned, and swallowed her pain along with her words. Dinner conversations never included me. If I tried to speak, my father would interrupt without even looking up. "Eat quietly," he'd say. "No one asked you." I learned to chew my food slowly, carefully, so no one would notice me. I learned that being quiet meant survival. The night everything began was supposed to be ordinary. The table was full, plates clattered, and laughter filled the room, but none of it was meant for me. My brother told a story, and my father laughed loudly. Then he turned toward me, his expression hard. "Do you know what the problem with this family is?" he said. I froze. "We carry weight that gives nothing back," he continued. "Some people are just burdens." The word hit me harder than any slap ever could. No one defended me. No one spoke. I stared at my plate, my appetite gone, my chest tight. I wanted to scream, to ask what I had done wrong, to beg him to see me. But something inside me chose silence instead. That night, I didn't cry. I promised myself something quietly, something dangerous. If I was going to be called a burden, I would become one they could never lift again. After that night, I learned how to disappear without leaving the house. I woke before everyone else, moving quietly so the floor wouldn't creak. I ate whatever was left from the night before, and left for school without saying goodbye. No one noticed, no one asked. Invisibility had become my safest armor. At school, I wasn't the smartest or the loudest, but I was relentless. While others talked about parties and plans, I stayed back, studying until the classroom lights flickered off. Teachers called my focus unusual. They didn't know it was survival. At home, my brother lived in a different world. New clothes appeared in his room. Conversations followed him like applause. My father listened to him with pride, nodding at every word. When my brother failed, it was just a phase. When I struggled, it was proof that my father had been right about me all along. I took my first job at 16. A small shop, long hours, barely enough pay. I hid the exhaustion behind practiced calm. Every coin I earned went toward books, fees, and dreams I never spoke out loud. Hope, I learned, was safer when kept secret. Some nights the loneliness pressed so hard against my chest I thought I might break. I would sit on my bed in the dark, staring at the ceiling, wondering what it felt like to be chosen, to be celebrated, to be enough, but I swallowed those thoughts because weakness was a luxury I couldn't afford. My father once caught me studying late and laughed. "You work so hard for nothing," he said. "You don't have the talent. You're just wasting time." I nodded, because arguing would only prove him right in his mind. What he never saw were the small victories. The scholarships I earned quietly, the mentors who believed in me when my own family didn't, the failures that taught me patience instead of bitterness. Silence didn't mean I had given up. It meant I was listening, learning, preparing. I stopped waiting for approval that would never come. I stopped trying to prove my worth at a table where I was never offered a seat. Instead, I built myself piece by piece in the shadows, fueled not by anger, but by a calm determination that scared even me. One day, I promised myself my voice would matter, and when that day came, I wouldn't need to raise it. The celebration was my father's idea. He insisted on a full dinner, invited relatives, even brought out the expensive glasses we only used on special occasions. The reason was simple. My brother had secured a job, and in my father's eyes, that alone made him worthy of applause. I helped set the table quietly, placing plates where I was told, moving like background noise. No one thanked me. My brother arrived late, confident and smiling, greeted like a hero returning from war. My father stood up to hug him, pride shining in his eyes. Tonight, my father announced loudly, "We celebrate success." The room responded with claps and cheers. I took my seat at the end of the table, the familiar knot forming in my stomach. I already knew this night wasn't meant for me. Dinner passed with stories, my brother's stories. Every achievement was exaggerated, every flaw forgiven. My father laughed loudly, pouring drinks, soaking in the attention as if my brother's success were his own. Then came the toast. My father stood up slowly, tapping his glass with a spoon. The room fell silent. He raised his drink high and smiled. "To my son," he said, gesturing toward my brother, "the one who will carry this family forward, the one who made all the sacrifices worth it." Everyone raised their glasses. Then his eyes shifted toward me, and then he continued with a chuckle, "There's reality. Not everyone contributes. Some people just take up space. Every family has a burden." Laughter rippled through the room, nervous, unsure, but loud enough to hurt. My heart pounded, but my face didn't change. I felt dozens of eyes on me, measuring my reaction, waiting for tears or anger. I gave them nothing. I picked up my glass and took a slow sip, my hand steady despite the storm inside me. In that moment, something cracked, but something stronger formed in its place. I understood then that this wasn't just neglect, it was betrayal. A father wasn't supposed to humiliate his child for applause. But mine had. As the guests continued celebrating, I sat there quietly, invisible once again. Yet for the first time, I didn't feel small. I felt detached. I realized something dangerous that night. They had already written my story without reading a single page. So I decided I wouldn't correct them. I would let them finish the toast. And then I would let the truth speak for itself. Just as the glasses touched and laughter filled the room again, the television flickered. At first, no one noticed. The volume was low, drowned out by celebration. Then a familiar, urgent tone cut through the noise. Breaking news. The anchor's voice was sharp, commanding attention. Conversation stalled. Someone reached for the remote, but my father raised a hand, annoyed. "Just a moment," he said. The screen shifted to images of stock exchanges, global headlines scrolling beneath them. The anchor continued tonight. International markets reacted to a major financial breakthrough led by a previously unknown analyst. My breath slowed. Sources have confirmed the individual responsible for the strategy that prevented a massive economic collapse. The camera changed. My name appeared at the bottom of the screen, not a nickname, not a mistake. My full name. A photo followed, older, confident, unmistakably me. The room went silent. My brother's smile faded. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. The guests stared at the screen, then at me, then back again, unsure of what they were witnessing. The anger spoke again. He declined public celebration, stating, "Some work is done quietly, without applause." I felt my father's eyes on me for the first time, not with judgment, but confusion. His glass trembled, then slipped from his hand, shattering against the floor. No one laughed this time. I stood up slowly. There was no anger in me, no need for drama. I adjusted my jacket and looked around the table where I had spent years trying to disappear. "I think that's my cue," I said softly. My father opened his mouth, but no words came out. "I was never looking for a toast," I continued. "I was looking for time." I nodded once, to my mother, to the stunned guests, even to my brother. Then I walked toward the door. As I stepped outside, the night air felt lighter. For the first time, I wasn't carrying their expectations, or their cruelty. Weeks later, my father called. His voice was quieter than I remembered. "I was wrong," he said. I closed my eyes. "I know," I replied. Forgiveness didn't erase the past, but success had already rewritten it. And sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't being heard, it's being undeniable.